Hi there, and welcome back to another Papetti Math YouTube video tutorial where I'm going to be teaching you, yes, you, Algebra 1. And in this video, we're going to be looking at exercise number 4 in lesson 2 of chapter 1, solving one variable linear equations. And we've looked at already the process by which we're going to be doing this. And we're going to be doing this using the reverse order of operations. So I'm going to write it over here so we could reference it as we go. And as we simplify something, we like to go down this list. But again, as we solve it for an unknown variable, we're going to move up this list from the bottom to the top. So the first thing we're going to look at is there addition or subtraction? And you might see that there's addition inside these parentheses, but again, check that out. The parentheses are going to be our last step. So is there addition or subtraction outside of these parentheses? No, I don't see any. Is there multiplication or division? And yes, I do see multiplication. I see this 2 being multiplied by this x plus 5. Now, your intuition, your instinct, your gut reaction might be, oh, I see a 2 outside parentheses, I have to distribute it. But you don't have to distribute it. What you do want to do is undo the multiplying by 2. And the way you're going to undo that multiplying by 2 is divide both sides by 2, which is actually going to cut your steps down to 1 or 2 less steps than you would used to have. So the 2's would cancel out over here, and you're left with just the x plus 5, so there's no need for the parentheses anymore. And that's going to equal 6. So now that we have x plus 5, outside those parentheses, there was no exponents, and now we're inside those parentheses. So inside those parentheses, we go back to the bottom of this list, and we're looking for addition or subtraction, which we have. We have a one-step equation, so we're going to subtract 5 on both sides of this equation and get x is equal to 1. Now there's a few more steps in part B, but we could do this using our reverse order of operations. So the first thing we're going to look at is outside those parentheses, do you see addition or subtraction? And I do see something connected by addition and subtraction right here, this 4. But be careful, because is this 4 a positive 4 or is it a negative 4? And the answer is it's a positive 4 because we go by the sign in front of it. So this is really connected by subtraction, but to move it, we're going to do the opposite sign of the 4. So we have a positive 4, we're going to move it by subtracting 4. So now we're going to be left with negative 2, because the sign stays with that number, times m minus 6 is equal to 14. Now that we've done our addition and subtraction part, we're going to then look for multiplication or division. And now you could see that there is multiplication going on outside these parentheses. So the way we undo that is we're going to divide both sides by whatever it's being multiplied by. And we're going to get m minus 6 is equal to negative 7. And finally, this is just a one-step equation. We've gotten inside those parentheses, which is our final step. And we undo that subtracting 6 by adding 6. And we're going to get a solution of m is equal to negative 1. Negative 7 plus 6 will give us negative 1. Let's take a look at part C. Part C, again, we're going to look for addition or subtraction. I see subtraction first, and I'm going to undo that by adding 6 on both sides. That will leave me with a 1/2 x, 6 and negative 6 cancel out, and is equal to 18. Now, we have a 1/2 times x, and what you would like to do is probably divide by 1/2. But remember, if you're dividing by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. Because in 6th grade, you learned that 18 divided by 1/2 was the same as 18 times 2 over 1. When you keep the first number, you change the sign of division to multiplication, and you flip the third or the second number. So 18 divided by 1/2 is the same as 18 times 2 over 1, which might be easier to read than 18 over 1 over 2. So I'm going to actually erase this, and when I see a fraction, that's how I'm going to undo it in the future. So I'm going to multiply both sides here by 2 over 1. And in my opinion, that's a little bit easier than dividing by a fraction. So the 2 over 1 and the 1 over 2 cancel out, and I'm left with just x is equal to 18 times 2 is 36. And there's my solution there. And now finally for part D, don't be anxious about the fractions there. They're okay. We'll get through it together. Okay? So the first thing you want to do in part D is going to be to move all of your variables to one side of the equation and all of your constants, or just numbers by themselves, to the other side. So I, out of a force of habit, move all my constants to the right side, but it doesn't really matter which side you move them to. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 6 over here to move my constants to the right side. And I'll be left with 3/4 p. The 6's cancel out is equal to 1/2 p minus 16. Now I want to move all my variables to the left side in this case, and I will subtract 1/2 p because this is a positive 1/2, and I do the inverse operation, which would be negative 1/2. Now 3/4 minus 1/2, which is the same as 2/4, so this is really 3/4 minus 2/4, will give me 1/4 p is equal to negative 16. And just as we saw in part C, I could divide by 1/4, but dividing by 1/4 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So it's the same thing as multiplying both sides by 4 over 1, or just 4. So my final step here would be I would have p by itself isolated on the left side because the 4's and the 1's will cancel out. And negative 16 times 4 will give me negative 64. So we have now solved 4 different types of linear equations for an unknown value using our reverse order of operations. If this video was helpful in explaining how to solve a one variable linear equation using the reverse order of operations, go ahead and give it a thumbs up below. And now you're ready for exercise number 5 in lesson 2, and I wish you good luck. Thanks for watching.